Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. This is the continued hearing of conditional use hearing for 1209 Rydal. We were last together on April 14, 2026, when the applicant concluded their case. We are now going to move into the case of the party protestants. Before we do, I just wanted a couple of notification issues. We have 5 other dates selected throughout the summer. Hopefully, we will not need them all. The next one is June 30th, then July 14th, July 22nd, August 11th, and August 12th. We will be announcing the next date at the conclusion of each hearing. So I will be announcing officially the June 30th date. So we do not need to advertise again. This will be the notification of the next hearing date. Just to give everyone a little bit of kind of a preview of how we will be proceeding. Once the party protestants conclude their case, and if the applicant decides to put on any rebuttal case at the conclusion of that, we will schedule a separate meeting for public comment. That will be an opportunity for all those who do not have party status, who wish to make comment on the record. If you have party status and you have not presented any testimony and you don't plan on making any sort of official closing argument, you'll be able to make public comment. Following public comment, the parties will make their closing arguments. You will not be able to do both. You will not be able to make public comment and then do a closing argument. So you have party status, you'll have to decide which one of the two you are choosing to do. After that is all wrapped up, we will make decisions regarding what written submissions will be required. After the written submissions are received, I, as the hearing officer, will make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, and the Board of Commissioners will vote on this application at one of their regular public meetings. There will not be public comment at that regular meeting, since they will just be voting on this recommendation, but that will all be announced further as we're moving forward. So with that, my understanding is that Ms. Driscoll, you are going to be presenting this evening, and you have a witness. So if you can have your witness come forward and be sworn.
Yes. You want me to use this? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Way to end things. Okay. Yes. Okay. Is this good? Can everyone hear? My witnesses here? That's important. Good evening, Mr. Clark. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies and audience. Thank you for being here this evening. I am going to call as my first witness, on behalf of the parties in interest, on behalf of myself as a party in interest and a neighbor at 1440 Woodland Road. Again, my name is Kathy Driscoll. I would like to call John Welsh.
I do. John Welsh.
And before we begin, just is Mr. Welsh party to the hearing also?
No, I'm calling him as a fact
Witness, but he's also not a party, right? Okay. And can I ask for an offer of proof as to what his testimony is going to be?
Sure. Mr. Welsh took photographs of the properties. He's here this evening as a fact witness to testify that he visited the properties, he took the photos, identify the photos, and then the photos will be used by our subsequent witnesses.
Okay. And is there, can I get, ask for an offer of proof as to what his testimony is going to be?
Sure. Mr. Welsh took photographs of the properties. He's here this evening as a fact witness to testify that he visited the properties, he took the photos, identify the photos, and then the photos will be used by our subsequent witnesses.
Okay, I don't think I have an objection if that's the limited basis of his testimony.
Mhm. Yes.
You
Okay,
may proceed.
thank you. All right, Mr. Welsh, you've stated your name for the record, John Welsh. Could you tell us where you live?
I am,
I'm trying to. Okay, that's probably easier. All right, where do you live?
I'm right in Northeast Philadelphia near Cheltenham Village, but inside the city.
Okay, Mr. Welsh, what is your profession?
Photographer and filmmaker.
And Mr. Welsh, I understand the inclination is to look at Ms. Driscoll when she's asking you questions, but your head is turned and then you turn back to the microphone. So why don't you just speak into the microphone,
Okay.
and I'm sure Ms. Driscoll won't be offended you're not looking at her.
Would you like him to Mr. Welsh
Yes.
to repeat? Mr. Welsh, could you tell us what your profession is?
Yeah, I'm a photographer and a filmmaker.
And can you give us a little bit more background around that? For example, how many years have you been working as a photographer? What sort of photography do you do? What kind of filmmaking do you do?
I am it's going on about 40 years as a photographer, and I have a background in journalism and working for newspapers and also documentary film work.
Thank you, Mr. Welsh. Did I ask you to take photographs of the neighborhood, the Rydal neighborhood in the vicinity of 1209 Rydal Road, and photographs of the homes immediately adjacent to 1209 Rydal Road?
Yes, you did.
Are you familiar with Abington Township?
I am.
Are you familiar with the Rydal neighborhood?
I also am.
And can you explain or tell us why it is that you are familiar, for how long you have been familiar with both Abington and the Rydal neighborhood?
No, it's probably friends going to Penn State, journeys to Willow Grove from Philly, and finding shortcuts and really enjoying the view driving through.
Thank you. Did I tell you why I wanted photographs of these neighborhood homes?
Yes, you did.
And what did I tell you?
There's a plan.
Objection.
What is your understanding of why I wanted
The
photographs?
objection sustained, and you're rephrasing the question.
Okay, thank you. What is your understanding as to why I requested the photographs?
There's a new facility to be that's proposed to be built, and it was a concern about what people would see in their backyards.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Welsh. And did you indeed go out to the homes in the vicinity of 1209 Rydal Road and take photographs?
Yes, I did.
And did you put them into a sequence to demonstrate where those homes were located vis-a-vis the proposed facility at 1209 Rydal Road?
Yes, I did.
All right. I would like to have available, if I could, Mr. Nathan, Exhibit Driscoll 5, which is a PowerPoint presentation that consists of 27 slides. And I am going to have Mr. Welsh go through those slides and describe what it is they represent. So if we could have slide 1. That's it. All right. Mr. Welsh, what is slide 1?
It looks like either an
I
artist.
object. I don't know that he has any personal knowledge or prepared this slide or this exhibit.
Mr.
My understanding of his testimony is he's going to authenticate certain photographs that he took. I have no objection to him doing that. To the extent he's going to testify about slides or exhibits that were prepared by the applicant, I don't see the basis for that or the relevance to his testimony.
The relevant is he's trying to place within the context of the presence of the proposed facility, the homes that surround that proposed facility. So
He's
Is this
engaged to
Is this part of your
Yes.
exhibit at all?
my exhibit. I just and to the extent it's already admitted, that's fine. But as far as he's going to characterize them, he didn't prepare them. I don't know
thank
the
you.
relevance of what his position or characterization of that is on the burden of proof on the objectors at the current point of the posture of the case.
Okay,
Can
let's see what he says, and if he starts going a little too far, I'll sustain your objection, but it is part of the exhibit packet. We all know what this is. So I don't think we really need to spend a lot of time with him characterizing it. But go ahead, go ahead, Mr. Welsh, answer the question.
Okay, and just to say, it's been admitted as A2 and it provides context for the photos he took.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. Did you review this slide 1 entitled Exterior Perspective Plan at any point prior to taking the photographs?
I did.
Okay, slide 2, please. Thank you, Nathan. Mr. Welsh, in preparation for taking the photographs, did you review slide 2, which is entitled Grading Plan of 1209 Rydal Road?
Yes, I did.
And why was it necessary to look at that grading plan in terms of taking your photos of the homes in the neighborhood?
It's for context, so I know what you needed me to photograph and where the locations were.
Could I have slide 3, please? Slide 3, Mr. Welsh. Again, that is the plan of the property. What does the 1421 indicate?
No, that's an address.
And did you place that there?
Yes.
And 1421, do you recall what road that is?
Orchard Hill, I think, Lane.
Yes. Could I have the next slide, please? Mr. Welsh, could you identify this photograph?
That is 1421, and this is one of the photographs that I took most of these photographs. There are a few that snuck in there that I wasn't able to get. So this is one that I did not take, but that is the property.
So is your testimony is you did not take this photo?
I'm trying to be factual, and I did not take that.
Okay.
I mean, I think the purpose of his testimony is to authenticate the photos that are the purpose of this exhibit.
Okay.
So I would object to the relevance of the testimony and the omission of that slide 4.
Okay. Is there anyone else who's going to be able to authenticate this photo?
Well, can I continue with different questions in an effort to do so?
Well, again, Ms. Driscoll, in your offer of proof for this witness is he took photographs of certain houses, which will then be used by another witness for whatever purposes you're going to put them on. He didn't take this photograph. So while we all may know this is 1421 Orchard Hill Lane, he didn't take it. So
If I may, Mr. Clark, under the Pennsylvania Rules of Evidence, the witness does not need to have personally taken the photo as long as they can authenticate that it fairly and accurately represents what is in the photo. This witness did identify the fact that he went to the property and can identify it, so that's sufficient for the rules of evidence, and would ask that he be able to identify and admit it.
Mr. McHugh?
I mean, I'm also happy to look at these, and if they were provided with those, statements, I'm happy to stipulate to their authenticity. I don't believe it's not a authentic picture. I'm just, the purpose of the witness was
Okay.
to authenticate these exact photos.
Okay, and sort of like the original picture, let's see what they're gonna do with
Sure.
this witness on it, and then we'll make a decision as to whether or not we have to argue over this some more.
Okay. Mr. Welsh, did you visit the property identified as 1421 Orchard Hill Lane?
Yes, and that is how I can recognize it.
Yes. Is this photograph, is that a fair and accurate picture of what you observed?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Could I have the next slide, please? Could you identify this slide, please, Mr. Welsh?
That would be a view from Orchard Hill looking down onto houses on Doral in the distance.
Okay, and could you describe more completely where those homes are on Doral in the distance?
A lot are covered by trees, but I can see some kind of far to the right. One of the pools.
Okay,
I can see one, two, and the rest I can see maybe part of it through a tree, I think.
okay. And down in the bottom left, there's a pool depicted. Do you know which property that is?
Yes, that would be Woodland, and I think it's 1340.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Again, what does this depict, Mr. Welsh?
That's 1420 Orchard.
And did you prepare this?
Yes.
Could I have slide 7, please? And what does slide 7 depict?
That's the house at 1420.
Is this house next door to 1421
Yes.
Orchard Hill?
Yes, it is.
Next slide, please. Could you identify this for me, please?
Yeah, that's looking down into the growth of the area, and that the house in the distance, I don't know what address that is, but that is one of the ones on Doral to the right.
And this photograph is taken from what view?
It's in the back of the properties.
Did you title it 1420 Orchard Hill Lane side view?
Yeah.
Okay.
side- yeah.
All right. Could I have the next slide, please? Could you identify this?
Yeah, that's 1430 Orchard.
And did you prepare that?
I did.
Okay. Could I have the next slide, please? Could you identify this?
Yes, that's also 1430 Orchard.
Could I have the next slide, please? And this one?
Yeah, that's a back view looking down on the land, and I can see more of Doral in the distance.
Is there an open field in front of this view, in the center front of this view?
Yeah, it's open in the sense that, I mean, it's overgrown, but it's open.
Is that where the facility is proposed to be situated?
Yes.
Could I have the next slide, please? Could you identify this one?
Yeah, it's 1437 Doral.
Could I have the next slide, please? And what is this slide, Mr. Wells?
That's the same.
The front of.
Yeah, at the front of, I'm sorry. Yeah, front view.
Thank you. May I have the next slide, please? Okay. Could you identify this one?
Yep, that's the view from one end of the pool, looking down Doral, catching a couple houses, and also the property off to the left where the wooden fence is up above the stone wall.
The catching the few properties off to the right, are those the other Doral Hill
Yes,
home?
they are. Yes.
And out straight in front in the field above that broken fence, is that the location where the facility is proposed?
Yes, it is.
Could I have the next slide, please? And what is this slide, Mr. Welsh?
That's 1429 Doral.
May I have the next slide, please? And what does this depict
And that's the front of the house.
of 1429 Doral? Could I have the next slide, please? And what does this depict, Mr. Welsh?
This is headed towards the backyard of 1429 Doral.
Okay, and to the left, what do we see?
We see their pool.
Okay, what do we see straight ahead?
Well, straight ahead, I see a big tree and a little bit of a lot of trees. And then to the right, I see the empty plot of land.
Okay, is that where the proposed facility is to be built?
Yes.
And what do you see up in the distance?
That
What home?
is, I think that's the newer home on Orchard.
Okay, so this view starts on Doral and you can see
Yeah.
where this facility will be placed at this point, the Orchard Hill
The
property.
opposite of looking down where I was before. That's the opposite of where I was from looking from below this time.
Oh, okay. Could we go to slide 18, please? Could you identify 18, Mr. Welsh?
Yep, that's 1421 Doral.
Could we proceed to slide 19? And what does this depict, Mr. Welsh?
That's the front of 1421 Doral.
Could we proceed to slide 20? And what does this depict, Mr. Welsh?
That is the backyard of 1421, and that is their garden that ends, well, it ends on the wall, but goes a little bit above the wall to the wooden fence line.
And what do we see in the background up the hill?
1430 and the middle house, whatever, that's 1420 or 21, I think.
On Orchard Hill?
On Orchard Hill, I'm sorry, yeah.
And between the backyard of the Doral property and the homes on Orchard Hill, is that where this facility is proposed to be built?
Yes, it is.
Could I have slide 24, please? Is that where we are? Oh, that was 20. Oh, 21. I'm so sorry. 21, please. Could you identify this, Mr. Welsh?
Yeah, that's 1302 Woodland.
And could we have slide 22, please? And what is this, Mr. Welsh?
That's the front of their house, 1420. I mean, 1302 numbers.
Okay. Could I have slide 23, please? And what is this, Mr. Welsh?
That is on Woodland Road. That's looking from the 1302 property to where to the entrance or exit to the proposed facility would be pretty much a third of the way through, I think, the frame there. That's what we estimated.
And what do we see in the background? Do you see any dwellings in the background?
Yeah, I see one off to the right, which may be the other side of Woodland, and I think it's the one straight ahead would be the 1340, I think.
Okay.
1340, I think. Up straight
Orchard
ahead.
Hill?
Orchard Hill, I'm sorry. Or no, that's maybe Woodland.
Okay.
That's fine.
The open space that sits in the center of the photograph, is that where the proposed facility is to be built?
Yes, it is.
Could I have slide 24? What is this, Mr. Welsh?
That's 1340 Woodland.
Could I have slide 25? What is this, Mr.
That's
Welsh?
the front of their home, 1340.
Thank you. Could I have 26, please? And what is this, Mr. Welsh?
That is the backyard of 1340. And from looking at the plans, their house was there, and I photographed this angle to show where one of the, either again, an entrance or exit, depending which one where that would run.
And that entrance or exit based on the plan, would that sit right beyond that fence line?
Yes.
Could I have the next slide, please? And on this slide 27 is the same as slide 1. What I would ask you to do, Mr. Welsh, is look at the top right-hand rendering, and if you could point out which homes we see surrounding this proposed facility.
I'm going to go right to left. So far right would be 1340 Woodland. In front of where one of the entrance or exits is, right to the left of that would be 1302 Woodland. And then scattered up around that curve are the rest of the homes on Doral.
Okay, and where would the Orchard Hill homes be located?
They're out of the frame because I think they're high up on the hill and there are trees.
Right-hand corner, the left?
Oh, so I'm sorry, top right-hand corner.
Okay, thank you. And this proposed facility sits between and in the middle of the Doral Road, Woodland Road, and Orchard Hill properties. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh, wait, someone else might.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Welsh?
Just two brief ones. Mr. Welsh, are these all of the properties that you took pictures of in connection with your assignment?
Yes.
Okay. And were those properties selected by you, or were you told to photograph those specific properties by Ms. Driscoll or someone else?
Yeah, I was asked to photograph those specific properties.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Heleniak, do you have any questions? Mr. Welsh, you can't
I'm
go
sorry.
yet.
Coffee over here.
Ms. Driscoll, before you began, you indicated that you were calling this witness and would be presenting on behalf of some of the other residents who have party status. Is that correct?
Well, actually, for myself as
Okay. So you're not speaking on behalf of anyone else who has party status?
no, anyone else would be
Okay.
absolutely free to ask questions as well.
Is there anyone who has party status who would like to ask Mr. Welsh questions? Is there anyone with party status who would like to ask Mr. Welsh questions? If you do, please come forward. Seeing no one coming forward, Mr. Welsh, now you can sit
Okay.
down.
Thank you.
And call your next witness?
Yes, thank you. Well, I would like to call Lucy Strackhouse as a witness. For now, unless someone needs to reference a particular slide. Okay, thank you.
I do. Lucy, Strackhouse, Strackhouse.
Yes, could I have Mrs. Strackhouse's CV? I believe it's Driscoll 5.
Is the PowerPoint Driscoll 5 or
6.
PowerPoint was Driscoll 6? Okay.
Mrs. Strackhouse, I've called you here today as a witness with the intent of having you provide expert testimony. With that in mind, could you give us a bit of your work background and experience in terms of land use planning?
Certainly. When I was working for the Fairmount Park Conservancy, I was a senior director of preservation and property management. So I found new uses for historic properties owned by the city of Philadelphia, specifically in Fairmount Park. So we would look at a neighborhood and see what type of use of an old building would make sense and what was needed in the city. So, for instance, we put the Bicycle Coalition in a building down near Boathouse Row, and also the Schuylkill Navy needed a home. So we found a home for them in one of these older homes. We also put in several restaurants, one in East Falls, one in West Fairmount Park at the Ohio House, and one at the end of the Wissahickon Trail in Philadelphia called the Cedars Cafe.
All right. Mrs. Strackhouse, could you tell us what your experience has been in the community and particularly with reference to land use planning?
Yes, I was a member of the Abington Planning Commission for more than 10 years. I chaired it for at least 4. I retired from the commission about 2 years ago, involved in many types of development in Abington, including the YMCA, Baderwood Shopping Plaza several times. That was very interesting project. The Toll Brothers project over at the St. Basil's property are just some more recent examples.
All right. Thank you. How about, have you received any awards during the course of your career?
Yes, I received awards for preservation of properties, including one here in Abington for the Little Abington Meeting House restoration.
All right. Thank you. I would, well, just a second, a few more. Could you elaborate? You just did. Is there more you would like to add to your experience on the Abington Township Planning Commission and as chair of that planning commission?
It was, running the planning commission. I think the main purpose of the planning commission is it's to provide a public way for people to come and hear about what's going on in the township and to voice their opinion. And I think that's one of the most important things that the planning commission does. We were an advisory board to the board of commissioners. So we would hear these various projects that would come along, and we would have a whole variety of different experts on the commission who would weigh in with commentary. And then, of course, we would open it up to the public for their comments.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Strackhouse. In your capacity as a member and chair of the Abington Township Planning Commission, are you familiar with the Abington Township Zoning Code?
Somewhat, yes. Zoning board is different than the planning commission. Typically, a project would go to zoning first, then it would go to planning commission if needed.
In your capacity as a member of that planning commission and as chair, have you participated in and presided at conditional use hearings?
I have.
Are you familiar with the zoning code section 1806 conditional uses and its criteria?
Yes.
Section 806 G3 of that zoning code speaks to community character. In your role on the planning commission, were you required to assess, evaluate, and determine what is community character?
Yes.
In your role on the planning commission, did you evaluate and apply the section 1806 criteria on conditional uses to the evidence that applicants would present?
Yes.
I would, at this point, as Mrs. Strackhouse has the knowledge, skills, and experience based on her testimony and her CV to provide specialized and has specialized knowledge and experience in land use planning, specifically in Abington Township. I would ask that she be qualified as an expert in that area.
Mr. McHugh, do you wish to question Ms. Stackhouse on her qualifications?
I do, Mr. Clark. Ms. Strackhouse, do you have, are you a certified planner?
I am not.
You have an AICP certification or any other?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any formal degrees for planning or other educational experience resulting in a degree?
Yes, I have a BA in anthropology from Penn State. I have additional coursework at Temple in community planning in their graduate program and a historic preservation certificate from Bucks County Community College and additional coursework over the years.
Okay, but no degree in community planning?
No graduate degree in
Okay,
community planning,
understood.
correct.
Have you ever been qualified as an expert in land use planning in front of a Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, council, or other governing body?
I have not.
Have you ever testified in a conditional use hearing as an expert before?
No.
You mentioned that you were on the Planning Commission and you had the opportunity to review planning or conditional use applications. Is that correct? Would you agree with me that the Planning Commission is an advisory body
That is correct.
and they don't have the ultimate say as to whether a conditional use application
Yeah.
should be granted or not?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Ms. Strackhouse, but I do object to her being qualified as an expert in land use planning. I don't believe that being a member of a planning commission, and while she has certainly experience in historic preservation, I don't think that qualifies her as an expert in land use planning such that she's able to provide opinion testimony in this manner.
Does any member of the public this evening who has party status wish to question Ms. Stackhouse regarding her qualifications? If you do, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one coming forward, Mr. McHugh, I'm going to take your objection under advisement. I'm not going to rule on it now. We're going to allow Ms. Stackhouse to testify, and I will eventually make a ruling on whether or not she's qualified as an expert, and will give her testimony the weight that I think it deserves. So you can move forward.
Mr. Clark, if I may also just ask, as we've done with the other witnesses, I don't know if a report's being produced, but I certainly haven't seen one. It appears that we're going to have at least another evening of testimony. I would reserve the right, after I hear Ms. Strackhouse's testimony, to be able to cross-examine her at a future date, as the same opportunity was provided to the party protestant.
Is there going to be a report?
No, there is not going to be a report. There will simply be testimony. I understand that reports are not necessary. And I think also Mr. Greg Elmore appeared to testify from Oregon, and there was no report identified as his before he took the stand.
Okay. With that, Mr. McHugh, are you still requesting that Ms. Stackhouse be made available at subsequent hearings, or do you want to?
That would be my request. If there's
Okay.
going to be a subsequent hearing date, we would ask for the opportunity to cross-examine her then.
We'll let her testify now, and then we'll revisit the issue as whether or not you want to cross-examine her this evening or reserve it.
That's fine.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Just a couple quick follow-up questions, confirming you have never been qualified as an expert in a court of law. Mrs. Strackhouse, do you operate a consulting firm whereby you are hired to come into court and provide opinions and reports?
I do not.
Thank you. Are you being paid to appear this evening?
I am not.
Thank you. Mrs. Strackhouse, where do you live and how long have you lived there?
I live in Abington and I have lived at my current residence for over 20 years.
Okay, and does your neighborhood where you reside have a designation, local designation as to whether it's Meadowbrook, Rydal, Glenside?
It's usually referred to as Meadowbrook.
Okay, and is Meadowbrook adjacent to Rydal?
Yes, it is.
Okay, You testified on voir dire that you have served on the Abington Township Planning Commission for a number of years. You have lived in the Rydal Meadowbrook area for well over 20 years. Do you believe you have a specialized knowledge of and familiarity with the neighborhood of Rydal?
I do.
I just point of clarification, and do I have a standing objection based off of her qualification? Or, I mean, do I need to object to?
Since we have not made a decision, since I have not made a decision as to whether or not to accept her as an expert, and since I have indicated that that decision will be made subsequently, and I will give her testimony the weight I believe it deserves based on whether or not I accept her as an expert, you do not need to continue to object each time she offers something that's in the line of expert
Okay,
testimony.
understood. I just want to make sure that was clear for the record.
All right. Mrs. Strackhouse, are you familiar with the property at 1209 Rydal Road?
I am.
Are you familiar with the fact that there's been an application for conditional use filed with the township to build two facilities on that property?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the neighborhood that surrounds that property?
Yes.
Could you describe first the property as it currently exists, 1209, and then could you describe the neighborhood that surrounds it?
Certainly. The existing property, 1209, is a stone house from the 1920s that has an entrance off of Rydal Road. It's a steep slope to get up to the house. The remaining back section of the property is mainly open field with some trees, and that sides to woodland mainly.
Okay. How about the character of the neighborhood that immediately surrounds that property?
So Rydal is a neighborhood of very interesting architectural styles. Dates back, some of the homes actually date back to the 1700s, and you have some incredible examples of famous architects' designs. Horace Trumbauer, of course, here at Penn State. There are several buildings that he designed that are still in existence here. There's several buildings right off of campus that he designed. There's an interesting castle tower in the French Norman style designed by Goodwin, a very well-known Philadelphia architect, right over off of Rydal Road. And then we have other homes that have filled in over the years as the larger estates were subdivided. And we have contemporary homes. We saw one earlier tonight. We have the mid-century 50s and 60s split levels and ranchers down on Doral and some of the other areas in the neighborhood. But it is a very bucolic suburban neighborhood with a country feel to it. And it's not laid out on a grid system like the city of Philadelphia or other cities. It has residential roads that are winding, which contribute to the beauty and the pastoral feel of the community.
Are there sidewalks in the Rydal community in the vicinity of 1209?
No.
And what does that suggest, the absence of sidewalks?
They were never really something that was looked on by the various developers and builders as wanted here in the neighborhood. These were typically some larger lots, and people didn't feel the need for sidewalks, so they were never put in. Back in the 50s, there have been a few that have been put in as time has gone by.
Are you able to describe the neighborhood in the vicinity of 1209, going up Woodland, back through the neighborhoods, in terms of whether it's quiet, whether it's used for leisure in terms of walking? How's the neighborhood and the roads used?
The roads are really used for just residential traffic, and occasionally you'll see people on a bike or pushing a baby stroller or walking their dog. So it's a very quiet neighborhood and lots of open space because there tend to be larger lots. It is R1 zoning, and you'll see lots of space, lots of gardens, and beautiful homes throughout the community.
And what does R1 zoning mean in terms of lot size?
It's a 1 acre lot per house, per
Okay.
residential unit.
All right. Do we have in the vicinity of 1209 Rydal in the R1 district, townhouses, apartment buildings, commercial properties.
We do not.
Did I ask you to review this conditional use application on behalf of the parties in interest opposing the application with a particular focus on the character of the community?
Yes.
Okay. When is the last time you visited the neighborhood that surrounds the property?
I drive through the neighborhood almost daily.
All right. In addition to your personal knowledge of the neighborhood and of this property and your professional knowledge of our neighborhood, did you review any documents before coming here tonight?
I reviewed the Planning Commission meeting minutes when I was on the Planning Commission from 2023 and reviewed what the Planning Commission decided at that meeting, and we voted unanimously not to recommend approval of the conditional use application at
I
that
have
time.
a new objection here. If she was on the planning commission that voted to recommend denial of this application, I think that's a conflict of interest for her to now testify as an expert in
Right.
the same case.
May I respond, Mr. Clark?
No, because I'm going to overrule the objection. I don't agree with you, Mr. McHugh. I think you can cross-examine her on that. I think perhaps your objection might want to be that the issue of what the planning commission voted to deny, but I'm going to overrule your objection. You can continue.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Did you look at the application that was submitted by the applicant for this 1209 property?
Yes.
Okay. And did you look at the plans that were appended to that application?
Yes.
All right.
So, Ms. Driscoll, I'm going to interrupt because I want to understand what time frame we're talking about. Are you talking about did she review this as a member of the planning commission, or did she review it in preparation for her testimony this evening? I think Ms. Driscoll wants you to answer me.
Answer him. Did you review these documents that we're talking about in preparation for this hearing tonight, or are you reflecting back on the hearing? And
I reviewed them for tonight
Okay,
because it's been several years.
good. Thank you.
all right. Did you review David Babbitt's report and his direct testimony?
Yes.
All right. And you've seen the photographs for the slideshow
Yeah.
tonight? Okay. When, I think we've already acknowledged this, when you were on the planning commission, you obviously had an opportunity to familiarize yourself with 1209 Rydal Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to us, Mrs. Strackhouse, what community character means within the context of the conditional use criteria?
Well, one of the things we wanted to do on the Planning Commission and in general planning principles is to retain the community character. And in this case, Rydal is a residential community with a mix of different styles of architectural homes. As I stated earlier, it's very suburban in feel, almost rural, with winding roads and lots of open space and meandering creeks that run it through it, and just a very lovely community for residents.
Do you have an opinion as to whether this proposal to develop 1209 Rydal Road as an independent living facility and a separate skilled care and memory care facility is consistent with and compatible with the community's character?
I do not.
You do not have an opinion?
No, I do not think it is consistent. Sorry. I do have an opinion.
And what is that opinion, Mrs. Strackhouse?
That opinion is it is not appropriate use for this parcel of land in this community.
And Mrs. Strackhouse, do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
Mrs. Strackhouse, this proposed development, it's adjacent to a residential district. You've testified to that. Does the scale and use of this proposed building relate to and complement the surrounding area?
No, it does not. It's from what I've seen most recently, it is 4 stories, which is much taller than existing buildings in the neighborhood, which would be typically 2 to 3 stories. So the general massing of the building is much different than what is existing. And the design, I know it's just a rendering. You're not in land development here, is very utilitarian. So totally different from what is currently in the neighborhood.
And Mrs. Strackhouse, is that your opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
What does it mean when the zoning code directs that the conditional use shall be an improvement, which is not a detriment to the properties in the immediate vicinity?
It's not going to be a nuisance. It's not going to cause issues. It won't have odors or lights or things like that that will be a problem for all of the neighbors.
Do you have an opinion as to whether this proposal is a detriment or will be a detriment to the properties in the immediate vicinity?
I think it will be a detriment.
And do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
Do you believe that the impact on the Rydal neighborhood would be positive or negative?
It would be negative.
And do you hold this opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
Okay, considering this proposal is in an R1 zoning district, 1 acre single family lots, considering the character of the neighborhood about which you have testified, do you have a reasonable degree of professional certainty as to whether 2 buildings, one of which is 20,850 square feet and one of which is 11,894 square feet, approximately 40 feet high, with a capacity for 143 residents plus employees, with 118 parking spaces, and situated within the lot as proposed in the application and located on the plan, has a high probability of creating an adverse impact on this neighborhood?
Yes.
What is your opinion?
Yes, it will create an adverse effect on this neighborhood.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
I do.
Do you have an opinion as to whether this application meets the conditions and criteria set forth in section 1806 of the Abington Township Zoning Code pertaining to conditional use?
It does not meet them.
That is your opinion?
Yes.
It does not meet the criteria?
Correct.
It does not meet the conditions?
No, it does not.
Okay. Do you hold this opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
I do.
See just a second here. Mrs. Strackhouse, the applicant has presented the argument that because there are pre-existing institutional properties in the neighborhood, that this would merely be the same. And one of the examples is Penn State Abington, where we are tonight. How do you feel it blends, Penn State Abington, with the character of the neighborhood?
Penn State Abington is a very historic campus. The building was built, the first building, I believe, was 1916, so it predates a lot of the homes in the neighborhood. They were built around this campus, so this was here first. Obviously, people didn't object to that as they decided to build their homes here. And again, this campus has some incredible buildings on it, some of them designed by Horace Trumbauer. And it's open to the public to walk around and enjoy the pond and the trail around the campus.
Okay. So it pre-existed the homes that people built and chose to move into.
Most of them, yes.
All right. How about the same question in terms of Meadowbrook Farms? Are you familiar with Meadowbrook Farms?
Yes, I am.
Same question. How do you think it blends with the character of the neighborhood?
Meadowbrook Farm was a residence for J. Liddon Pennick. When he passed away, it was given to Pennsylvania Horticultural Society in 2004. So the main building there is a residence, and the PHS currently uses the site for a public pleasure garden that is free to the community. So anyone can go there when it's open, which is typically from spring until late fall. So it's certainly an asset to the community.
Thank you. In section 1806 of the zoning code, there is mention as buffering as one element to consider when evaluating whether a proposed use is suitable. What is buffering?
Buffering is a term that describes typically using landscaping to buffer a view so that whatever the adjoining properties are, they don't see the new building that is being built.
All right. In the neighborhood, we have a facility, well, outside the neighborhood, we have a facility that's similar to what's being proposed, Rydal Park. How is Rydal Park buffered?
Rydal Park, first of all, is buffered by Susquehanna Road. So it is cut off from the neighborhood by a very busy road. And that really, in reality, limits the residential to one side of Susquehanna Road and all of Rydal Park and the various properties there to the other side of the road. And so that really acts as a buffer. And then there are also many trees there, partly not on the property that they own, but housing that goes up the side of the hill on Susquehanna.
Thank you, Mrs. Strackhouse. Mr. Babbitt, in his direct examination before the solicitor and commissioners, testified, and it's at page 292 and 293 of his hearing testimony. He testified about buffering, and he said that the first element of buffering is really the distance. Mrs. Strackhouse, the plans show a 50-foot side setback and a 100-foot front setback. Do you consider that a sufficient buffer in this location for this neighborhood?
I do not, because of the elevation of the site and the height of the buildings.
Mr. Babbitt also opined that another aspect, as you mentioned, was landscaping to provide buffering. Do you believe there can be sufficient landscaping to provide buffering to render this proposal suitable for this neighborhood?
Certainly not for quite a long time. We have an ordinance here that requires trees to be planted, but trees take a long time to grow. So there'll be quite a while before any buffering actually is full grown and provides buffering actually.
The third reason Mr. Babbitt suggested that there was sufficient buffering between this facility and our neighborhood was that there is an elevation change. And at page 292 through 293, he states the third element here is elevation change. The site sits up from its parking. There is some surface parking to be provided on the site, but it is going to be heavily buffered. I think that the change in elevation provides some level of buffering between those adjacent land uses. Do you agree with that?
I do not.
And can you tell us why?
Well, even just driving through the site frequently, which I do, I can't imagine that buffering will occur if you're going to have a building that's 4 feet high. You will see that building.
All right, Mrs. Strackhouse, you were here when Mr. Welsh identified the photographs that were taken of the neighborhood.
Yes.
From those photographs, do the Durrell Road properties sit above, below?
They are below.
Okay. And sitting below this property, would that elevation constitute a buffering from the
No,
proposed
because
facility?
they will, if they look out their back windows, they're going to look right at that building up on the hill.
And I'm going to ask you the same question in terms of Orchard Hill Road. Would the elevation of this Orchard Hill to the proposed facility provide a buffering?
No, the opposite will occur. They will look down upon that building.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not this application, as proposed, meets the requirements of the conditional use criteria in terms of buffering that is suitable to the neighborhood?
I do not.
You have an opinion or you don't?
I have an opinion that it does not meet them.
Okay. And do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
Mrs. Strackhouse, you reviewed David Babbitt's report of July 28th, 2023. And in his the last paragraph, full paragraph of that report, he mentions, and I quote, "It is common and appropriate to have smaller institutional uses located within residential neighborhoods and adjacent to existing single-family homes, as long as those institutional uses are compatible with surrounding neighborhoods, as the proposal 1209 Rydal Road development is." Do you agree with that statement?
I do not.
And can you tell us why you do not?
I do not agree with that because this is not that small of a development. And if you look at the other examples in our township, such as Holy Redeemer Hospital, St. Joseph's Building, the Manor, and we have Sunrise on Susquehanna, they are more adjacent to commercial districts and hospital. So we don't have what he's mentioning there that I'm aware of.
And that we don't have that in the Rydal Meadowbrook neighborhood.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I have no more questions.
Mr. McHugh, are you going to renew your request to not cross-examine Ms. Strackhouse this evening and?
No,
cross her at a
I
later
believe
date?
I'm able to cross-examine her. The majority of it is going to stand on my objection that I don't believe she's qualified to provide expert testimony in this manner.
So you are going to cross? her now?
I'm prepared to proceed on cross.
So you're withdrawing your request to
That's cor-
cross-examine her at a subsequent date?
That's correct, Mr.
Okay,
Clark.
thank you. You can go ahead.
Excuse me, Mr. Clark, should Mr. Heleniak proceed and then anyone else with direct
Oh.
questions?
No, we're gonna have Mr. McHugh go first. And I don't believe Mr. Heleniak intends on asking any questions. And I think with Mr. Welsh, I had Mr. McHugh go first, and then I asked Mr. Heleniak, and we'll follow that again.
Okay.
There's anyone else with party status that wants to ask questions of this witness, when would you like that to?
After Mr. McHugh and after Mr. Heleniak says he has no questions.
Good evening, Ms. Strackhouse. Just so I understand, I believe the majority of the opinions that you gave this evening were related to Section 1806 regarding general conditional use criteria. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed that Ms. Driscoll, I don't believe, asked you to provide an opinion as to the project's compliance with the objective criteria for either use E10 or E12. Is that correct?
You'll have to remind me what those are.
Those are the uses for which we're seeking conditional use approval, the life care facility, and then I believe it's the nursing home use and the specific requirements that go with that use. Are you offering an opinion as to compliance with those requirements?
I don't really know about those requirements, so I cannot give you an opinion on that.
And similarly, you're not offering an opinion as to compliance with the R1 bulk dimensional standard requirements as well, correct?
Well, they're not R1. So this is an R1 area, zoned R1.
Okay, and you're not offering compliance as to whether a variance is required from any of those provisions, correct?
I don't know. It's just, as far as I know, it's conditional use application.
Okay. So a lot of your testimony was based off of the character of the community and the standards in 1806. In your opinion, is there a nursing home or a senior care facility that would fit within the community character of the surrounding area?
Not on this particular location or anywhere else that I can think of in Rydal.
Okay, so not in this area. There's not a single senior living facility that could meet that requirement for community character. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. You have Sunrise, which is on Susquehanna, but that is adjacent to a commercial district.
Okay. Is there any information you're aware of which would lead you to believe that this particular facility would operate in any fashion that is more impactful than the standard nursing home facility or senior living facility?
I don't know the answer to that.
And you acknowledge that the uses that we're seeking are permitted by conditional use. Is that correct?
If it's approved.
Yes. And you indicated you were on the planning commission that recommended denial of this particular conditional use
That
application.
is correct.
And how did you personally vote on that recommendation?
I voted against it. It was a unanimous vote.
And was the opinion that you had at that time the same that you hold right now?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Are there any members present this evening who have party status who would like to ask Ms. Strackhouse questions? If you do, please come forward. Please come forward. Oh, yep. Well, why don't you wait 1 second? I didn't see Ms. Wellheimer stand up. Thank you.
Right. Ms. Strackhouse, I just want to clarify some of the answers that you gave Mrs. Driscoll. You mentioned the character, we're focusing on the character of the community. How would you describe the character of the community immediately adjacent to this proposed property in the evening?
In the evening, it's very quiet. It's residential. There's not much traffic. It's very quiet. There's not a lot of lighting, not a lot of sound. So it's a very pleasant place to live.
So when you talked about the impact that needs to be considered for conditional use as it relates to noise, what do you consider when it talks about any what are you thinking about in your professional capacity when you think about the impact of potential noise from this facility on the current character of the community, either in the daytime or in the evening? And please clarify.
I think you're going to have noise from the delivery trucks that are be going in and out of the facility and the noise from the traffic of the staff that will be working there.
Now, one of the other factors that's in the conditional use code talks about the impact of lighting and whether or not the lighting has an adverse impact. We've heard testimony previously about the lighting, and I understand you weren't here for that. But in your professional capacity, when you think about a 24-hour-a-day operational continuing care facility, based on the current character of the community, especially in the evening, what is your opinion on whether or not that will have an adverse impact on the current character of the community?
It would be introducing a whole new light source that is not currently there. So it would have to be mitigated because it would have adverse effects on the community.
Now, you described this community as being quiet, residential, winding roads, and described the recreational activities that occur on the streets. What, if any, impact does a 24-hour operational continuing care facility have on the current character of this community?
Well, it will definitely change it because right now it's just residential. So you'll have things occurring 24 hours a day when you have assisted living and I believe it's memory care and independent living. Things are happening all day long, 24 hours a day, unfortunately, because people become ill.
We talk about the character of the community when you're looking at the number of houses immediately adjacent to this proposed property, and even if you expanded a block or two, comparing that with 143 individual units at this proposed community, this proposed facility, how does that impact the current character of the community?
Well, 143 units would have, I believe, more traffic. I heard a little bit of the traffic study, not all of it, so I can't speak to that directly. But you would have definitely people coming and going more so during the day, I believe.
Now, you referenced your concern regarding the inadequacy of the setback as an adverse impact because of the elevation of the site and the height of the building. Could you just explain why you took that position and what you mean by that?
Yeah, so you have what is essentially a 4-story building, at least that's the rendering I have seen, that's going to be sitting on a hillside. And so that will raise it up even higher. So you will see that building, and especially once that lot is cleared, which is what is typically done during land development, you will see that building and it's very utilitarian. So it's really going to change what you currently see going into that neighborhood. It's going to be right there and it is a completely different use inserted into a very quiet residential neighborhood.
So from your experience of chairing the Planning Commission and your professional capacity throughout the past 20 plus years, do you have an understanding of the conditional use requirements here in Abington Township?
Yes.
And am I correct, in order for a conditional use application to be approved, it must be fully code compliant as well as meet all of the conditional use requirements?
Yes.
You gave Mrs. Driscoll an opinion that this application does not meet the conditional use criteria. Could you just explain your reasoning for saying that?
Yes, it doesn't meet it. The buffering is not correct. It's not appropriate use for that land. It has adverse effects on the community. Those are some of the main things that I objected to.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stackhouse.
Mr. Heleniak, I neglected to ask whether or not you have any questions.
Not at this time.
Okay, so someone in the back wants to ask a question. So I'd ask that you come around here, over here. Mr. Heleniak will hand you the microphone that Ms. Driscoll is using. And if you could stand just right at the corner of this table and ask your questions. Please identify yourself.
I'm Eric Warren. I live at Weren,
And your address,
1443 Durrell Road.
and you have party status in this
I
matter.
have party status. I back onto this property.
Go ahead and ask your question.
I heard it said that this was 29,000 square feet in one building and 11,000 square feet in another building. And I'd like to get a correction on that. I believe it's maybe 29,000 square feet footprint and a 4-story high. So 4 times that square footage in square footage. Is that part of the problem that would make this too big a facility to be within the confines of the conditional use?
It's not the square footage per se, it's the height and massing of the building. If part of it had been built perhaps underground, that might not be quite such an issue, but this is an above ground building that's about 4 stories.
Right. So if you had a 29 square foot footprint, 1,000 square foot footprint, it might be okay to have two stories, but not 4 stories.
It would be better for the community.
Okay.
Okay,
And my other questions were answered by your answers to her question.
got to leave the microphone.
I will have to. Because I'm back there.
Okay.
and we'll-
Nathan, if you can. Okay. Anyone else who has party status, please come over here. Mr. McHugh has the microphone at the table.
Edward Troffer, Trauffer.
Your address, please,
1625 Amity Road.
and you have party status in this matter.
Yes.
Okay. But please ask your question.
Okay. You had mentioned that some of the problems for the neighborhood would be all the lights and a lot of traffic. Do you anticipate significant impact due to a lot of ambulances because of all of the people needing medical care
That
going through the
certainly-
entire neighborhood?
That certainly is a consideration, yes, because of course Woodland Road goes right to Abington Hospital, and then Holy Redeemer is just a mile or two the other direction, so that will occur.
And I don't know if this is an appropriate question. You can tell me it's not if it isn't. But the way the building is planned and designed, if they don't get enough people for medical care, could that building functionally work as just an apartment building?
I
Objection to
don't
the
have a
vote.
quick
The
answer to that.
objection is sustained.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Right. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who, in attendance with party status who wishes to ask a question of this witness? Okay, seeing no hands. Mr. McHugh, based on the questioning from any of the other witness, oh, no, excuse me. Ms. Driscoll, based on the questioning from any of the other witnesses, do you have any redirect of Ms. Strackhouse?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. McHugh, do you have any follow-up?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark, as this witness is being excused, can I just be heard as you make your determination on whether or not you'll accept her as an expert?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Can you let me know when I
But,
can be
go-
heard?
We're going to take it under advisement.
Right.
And then we'll make a decision on it. In light of the fact that Ms. Strackhouse is not going to be recalled, I don't think we need to reach that decision at this moment.
I would just ask that when you do take it under consideration, you take into consideration Pennsylvania Rule of Evidence 702, which clearly permits anyone with specialized knowledge beyond that possessed by the average layperson to be able to provide this testimony for the finder of fact.
Thank you. Ms. Driscoll, do you have any other witnesses? Okay. Is there anyone else here this evening with party status who wishes to present testimony? Please come forward. So Ms. Driscoll, we're about to play some musical chairs.
Yes, I'm
And
gonna
yeah,
switch.
thank you.
Good evening. I am Kim Cease. My property address is 1443 Woodland Road. And I am appearing as a neighbor who is going to be presenting our next witness.
Okay.
So I'd like to call Joseph Doherty. Louder.
I do. Joseph Doherty, Joseph
And Mr. Doherty, what is your home address?
1638 Amity Road, Rydal.
And are you a party to this hearing?
I am.
Are you being paid to serve as a witness this evening?
I am not.
So you don't routinely appear before the Board of Commissioners or the Planning Commission or anything like that. Is that
No.
correct? So you have a number of documents in front of you that we appreciate you've placed into these really nice binders for everybody. So can we have Exhibit Cease number 1 pulled up on the screen? And can you identify once they pull it back up? Do we need more? One more?
Wing it at me.
Okay, can you identify what this document is on the screen?
It's basically my resume.
And can you describe for everyone your profession?
I'm a real estate agent in Jenkintown with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.
And are you licensed in the state of Pennsylvania?
Yes, I am.
What professional affiliations do you have?
The Pennsylvania Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, and Tri-County Suburban Realtors.
And have you received any industry awards for your work?
Yes, I'm consistently Chairman Gold Circle with Berkshire Hathaway, which is the top 3% of agents in the country. This past year, I was the #1 agent in the Jenkintown office.
Okay, and how long have you been serving as a realtor for?
22 years.
Can you share what areas you're a realtor in?
Well, obviously, I'm a realtor in Jenkintown, Abington, Rydal, Montgomery County. I do some Bucks and Philadelphia County.
And have you sold any homes in Rydal recently?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Are you primary residential, commercial, or a mix of both?
I do both, but I'm primarily residential. I do commercial though as well. I own some commercial business.
So would you say that this exhibit up on the screen labeled Cease number 1 is a full representation of your relevant experience as a
Yes.
licensed realtor?
Yes,
And are you familiar with the subject property at 1209 Rydal Road?
I am.
And are you familiar with the project that is being proposed as the subject of this conditional use application?
I am.
Mr. Clark, I would offer Mr. Doherty as an expert in real estate based on his testimony and CV provided.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions of Mr. Doherty?
I do. Mr. Doherty, as part of your testimony this evening, are you going to provide any opinions on the valuation of real estate?
I am.
And are you going to provide those opinions as of today?
As of today.
And are you also going to provide opinions on the valuation of real estate at some point in the future?
Post construction as of if it was built today.
And you indicated you're a licensed real estate agent, is that correct?
That's correct.
You are not a certified residential appraiser, is that correct?
I am not an
You
appraisal.
don't
No.
hold an MAI designation or any other valuation credential?
No.
And the reports that you prepared that Ms. Cease will introduce, are those formal appraisal reports?
They're not formal appraisal reports. They are market analysis that realtors use to price properties when we put them on the market.
So those reports, they're not performed in accordance with what I'll call USPAP, which is Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice.
They are not.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're not offering those reports as an appraisal value. Is that correct?
I'm not offering them as an appraisal value.
And are those the only properties that you performed reports for
Today?
today as
Yes.
part of your testimony?
Yes.
And you didn't look at an overall valuation of the neighborhood, for instance?
Well, I looked at,
That's contained in your reports.
it's based on properties that have sold in the area.
Understood. I have an objection to Mr. Doherty's expert testimony. I don't think the current values of properties is relevant to the conditional use standards. The neighbors, their burden, as we all know, is they must prove that the proposed use will adversely affect the public welfare in a manner not normally expected from the type of the use proposed. I don't know that the current property value is relevant in that regard. And then as to the future valuation, I don't think that he holds the appropriate professional expertise and qualification to render an opinion on valuation at a future date, such that he should be admitted as an expert in that area.
Mr. Heleniak, do you have any questions for Mr. Doherty regarding his qualifications?
I do not.
Is there any member of the public who's present this evening who has party status who wishes to ask Mr. Doherty questions regarding his qualifications? Ms. Wellheimer.
Mr. Doherty, in the 20 years that you have been a realtor, have you had the opportunity to assess real estate trends in particular communities?
Yes.
And as you assess real estate trends, is that for the purpose of trying to determine the valuation of property and where the valuation of properties are going?
Yes.
When you make those assessments in part of your professional capacity, what is it that you consider when you're looking at trends?
You look at economics, you look at projected projects. If a highway's going in, if a new development's happening, things like that. Economics has a lot to do with it as well.
And has that been a standard part of your practice in the past 20 years to not only look at present values, but to look at trends of where the property values may go in the future?
Yes, but that's not a science. So it's nothing that you can guarantee somebody.
When you were asked by Mrs. Cease to assess property values and assess the property values in the adjacent community in line with this proposed property, what did you consider in making that determination based on your professional experience?
So professionally, you go to a property, usually go in blind, and you see what affects the property condition, location, the size of the yard, all of that stuff. If there's a gas station next door, that's going to affect the value of the property. There's a train next door, that's going to affect the value of the property. So you have to take that into consideration when you're pricing the property for sale.
So over in your professional capacity, as you have been valuing property and looking at these trends, has that been a way of assessing a property that is different from someone without your training and experience?
I think so. I think certain people, you could be the homeowner in the property with a business next door and not think it's an issue to you. But 75% of the people coming through to see that property, it's going to be an issue to them. So those people won't want to buy your property. Maybe 25% will. So you don't have the demand on the property. And the only way to get the demand is through pricing it.
I have no further questions. Mr. Clark, this witness clearly has specialized knowledge in accordance with Rule 702 and whether or not the present value and her
Ms. Wilhite,
prospectus.
you're not offering him as a witness. You're
I-
questioning him on his question. On his
I am
qualification.
party status and supporting the application for an
Understood,
expert.
but you're not offering him. So
Yeah, and if I can just add, he's not going to say anything that calls this an official appraisal. So the word appraisal will not come up in any of his testimony tonight. This is me. Current property values and projected future property values based on his expertise.
and you're offering him as an expert in real estate, just generally.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to overrule your objection, Mr. McHugh, and allow him to be admitted as an expert in real estate. Generally, you're free to cross-examine him on any testimony he gives, but he will be admitted as an expert in real estate. And your objection is noted for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Mr. Doherty, can you please describe your most recent visit to the subject property?
I viewed the property in May from the rear of a home on Doral and the rear of the home on Orchard. I had seen the property in its entirety when it was on the market. I was actually looking at purchasing it for myself.
And how would you describe the subject property itself?
Well, it's a beautiful old, manor house perched up on a hill with towering trees and, the winding driveway. It's a romantic site, setting. And then that sweeping lawn that it had down, and it was well cared for when they cared for it. It's just a beautiful property with mature trees.
And how would you describe the neighborhood that surrounds the subject property?
Similar. Bucolic's a way to describe it. When I bring buyers into the area, I say, oh, well, this is the lowest density in Abington Township. One of the quietest neighborhoods in Abington Township. When we moved to our home in the area, I couldn't believe how quiet it was. I could hear the train in the distance, and that was about it. So, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to live.
And how about the style of homes in the neighborhood? How would you describe them?
It's the eclectic. There's the turn of the century stone homes. There's colonial revival houses. There's the mid-century modern. There's the split levels and the sprawling ranches. It's just a beautiful place.
And as a realtor, what would you say is the number one thing any buyer, regardless of neighborhood, is looking for when they're buying a home?
A location. Location is number one. Schools. This is a great school district and great location.
So, having sold many homes in this neighborhood, can you describe in your own words what you would say is the spirit, purpose, and intent of this neighborhood?
Well, it's a quiet residential neighborhood on houses on 1 acre lots, almost estate-like houses. It's Abington's premier neighborhood. I mean, that's, when you've made it, you go to Rydal, you go to this Penn State, Meadowbrook area.
So I'd like to refer to another document in front of you, which Ms. Driscoll entered earlier, which was marked Driscoll Exhibit 6, which provides the exterior perspective for the property. Can we pull that back up on the screen?
Thank you.
Driscoll 6, yeah, the PowerPoint. Yes, and can you go to slide 1? Perfect, thank you. Can you describe for me what you see in that top right image? So the one with the building, not the close-ups below.
Yeah, I see a lot of black, a lot of rooftops and asphalt. And 2 institutional buildings.
Okay, and you mentioned Black, do you mean blacktop?
Yeah, blacktop and the roofs are
Okay.
black. I mean, I don't know if they'll stay black, but
Okay, and how does that blacktop that you see relate to what you see in the homes that surround the subject property?
it's obviously very green and leafy suburban area. With that stuck in the middle of it.
I guess my question is, do the driveways and the blacktop for the properties that surround
You
the
don't
subject
notice,
site look similar in size to what's proposed here?
no, it dwarfs the houses on Doral especially.
Okay, and you mentioned the size of the building or the scale of the building. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, it's, what is it, 4 stories tall, and then whatever's on the roof, build up on the roof. If I took somebody into the house on Doral and we walk,
Objection to the speculation.
well,
Sustained.
yeah, it's just it dwarfs the properties.
Okay. And in your expert opinion as a realtor, how does the scale of use for this proposed development relate to and complement the surrounding homes?
Not at all. Not at all.
Let's talk about property values,
Mhm.
which is really what you're here for. What tools do you use to source data on property values?
Well, we use public record, the multiple listing service with recently sold properties, and I use a program to put all the information I get from those two areas to come up with the documents that I made today.
So you have access to tools or resources, we'll call them, that the average homeowner would not have access to. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you have access to data that is not publicly available necessarily, that somebody could just pull down from an online search.
Not as easily as I can get it. I mean, they could eventually get the data, but I can get it right away.
And what about sources like Zillow and Realtor.com? Do you use those?
Not for valuation. They don't take into effect things like being next to a commercial property, or they'll use a house that's next to a commercial property to value another house that might be 2 blocks away in a quiet neighborhood. So when you get that Zestimate, they're using different values that don't make sense.
So based on what you just said, there's no way for those search tools to know what is necessarily next to, whether it's like
No.
a giant facility, a single family home. So they are not taking into account the way that your analysis would, knowing what you know about what's on the subject property or what's supposed to be on the subject property.
Exactly. Mhm.
Okay. You mentioned the MLS. Can you explain what that acronym stands for?
It's the multiple listing service. It's what realtors and appraisers use to research recent sales, recent sold properties, recent pending properties, recent properties that come on the market. You can also go back in time up to the beginning of the MLS, which was probably 25 or 30 years ago, to get information as well. It also has access to the public record from the MLS.
So can you share with us some of the market factors that affect property values?
Well, obviously, economic factors, but changes in neighborhoods affect
Okay. Well, what about what's next to, adjacent, or in the vicinity of the property? Does that impact the value?
huge. That's huge. Yeah.
Okay.
That's more like a detrimental to a property more than a market.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if I'm following you correctly, an institutional facility of this scale located directly next to a residential property, regardless of which property we're looking at up there, will have a negative impact on the property value.
Yes.
So I understand that you've prepared a number of property analyses for tonight and wanted to share them with us. What is the first property you'd like to focus on?
The first property is on Orchard Hill. It is 1430 Orchard Hill.
Okay, can we have, it's slide number 9 in this slide deck presentation? Yes. Okay, so this is the property, correct?
That's
That
the
you're gonna- okay.
property, yeah.
And can we see slide number 10, please? Okay, and can you share what this slide shows?
Shows the front of Orchard Hill,
Okay.
view lane.
And can you flip to slide 11? Can you share with us what this shows?
Shows the back view off the deck overlooking the lot for the proposed project.
Okay, and what do you see when you look out past the edge of the deck, close to the railing?
All green. I mean, nature. You see the rooftops in the distance, but you know, it's a beautiful, almost like a meadow out there.
Okay, and should this proposed building be placed on this property, what will this view turn into?
You'll see rooftops and I think rooftops, or will you actually look right at the building and the parking lots?
Okay. You also have in front of you Exhibit C2, which is the next page in your binder. Yes, you're there. Can we, Nathan, can we have C2? It's the 1430 property value analysis. Yes, that's it. So, Mr. Doherty, can you describe for us what this exhibit entails, and then we'll kind of scroll through it just to give people a little bit more perspective.
So it's the basic information on this home, which is a 5,000 square foot newer construction for Abington Township. It was built in 2002. It's one of the more popular houses for sale around here because it is a newer house and usually very updated. So.
Okay, thank you. Can you walk through your current analysis of the property value of 1430 Orchard Hill Lane? And then we'll get to what that analysis actually includes in terms of dollar value. But I just want to understand, or everybody here to understand, how you came to that determination.
So I picked the 3 most relevant sales or pending sales in the area that match square footage, lot size, age of the property, and put them into our computer program. And off the top of my head, I thought Orchard Hill was worth probably 1.4. Using the comparables I used, which one was on Laurel Hill Lane, one was on Morgan Road, one was on Washington Lane, the computer says it's worth 1.350.
Okay. And what is the square footage of 1430 Orchard? I think you said about 5,000.
5,007.
Okay. And what is the square footage of the proposed senior care facility that Ms. Driscoll showed earlier on the screen? So it's Nathan, sorry to make you flip back. I'm going to come back to this in a second, but can you just go back to the slide deck, slide 2? Okay, so those 2 buildings there, what is the combined square footage of both of the 2 buildings?
The one building is 20,000 and something, and the other one is 11,000.
So what is, I'm going
So
to,
that's 31,000.
okay. And you said
That's just the footprint?
yeah. So you said the square footage of the 1430 Orchard Hill Lane, which is the property we're talking about, is about 5,000, correct?
5,000, yeah.
Okay, so for those of us that can't do math quickly, how much larger is the senior care facility than this house?
Oh, at least 6 times larger.
Okay. So you could fit 6 of 1430 Orchard Hill within this property. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, can we go back to Exhibit C2? So I realize that the first half of this is 21 pages long. So without going through every page in detail, let's just go to page 3. I want to go to the comparables. Yeah, this is a good image for everybody. So these are the 3 comparables that you started mentioning earlier, correct, that you used to determine the current property value of
That's
1430.
correct.
Yes, okay. And what is your estimate of the current property value of 1430 Orchard Hill Lane?
1.35
Okay.
million.
And in your expert opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe this current property value to be accurate?
Yes, I'd have to get inside to tweak it, but it usually is pretty dead on. So
Okay. Nathan, can we scroll to page 22? Yes, that's the one. Mr. Doherty, can you share for us what this analysis shows? I see the word post-construction, which I didn't see on the last slide. Can you just explain what that means?
So I tried to look for similar properties, similar age, similar size, all of that, that had some kind of detriment that would affect value. And with this, we actually, Meadowbrook Court, which is right off of Valley Road, two have just, one went pending, one just sold. One sold for 1,150,000, the other sold for 1,135,000. They are both probably the best comps to show what happens because Meadowbrook Court faces the train line. Like when you look out your front door, the train just goes right by. I actually don't think the train is as detrimental as having a 24-hour building next door, but it definitely affects the property in the same way.
So let me just make sure I understand what you're saying. When you did the post-construction analysis, you took comparables that have some sort of detriment in the vicinity of them, whether it be a train
Correct.
in this example, and maybe we'll see others in another example
Mhm.
and that's the reason why your comparables are different than what you're doing for the current analysis, those three.
Correct.
Understood. Nathan, can we scroll to page 24, please? Okay, and this is the location of the two comparables you're using?
That's correct.
Okay, and what is that double line with the little check marks on the right below the two properties?
That's the train line.
Okay, so that's the train you're referencing. Okay. So can we just scroll through to slide 39, page 39? 39, yeah, okay. Sorry, page 40. Thank you. So I see a different number here than you showed earlier. Earlier you said 1.350. Now I'm seeing 1,178,000. Can you describe for me what that is?
1,178,000.
Can you describe for me what this number shows versus prior and what caused the difference?
Well, this shows the average of the two properties on Meadowbrook Court, the value, which I think are basically direct comps to the one on Orchard Hill.
Okay, and that's because the train they back
That's
up to the train
because of the
station.
train.
Okay. And for those of us that can't do math in our heads quickly, what reduction in property value does this represent approximately?
It's about, was it 18% or I forget?
It's 13.
13%.
Okay. Or
$172,000.
$172,000. I just
Yeah.
did the quick math in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your expert opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe this projected future property value to be accurate for the subject property or for the 1430, which is adjacent to the subject property?
I think this is a great way to see what something detrimental does to property value. It's pretty accurate, but it could be worse. It all depends on how this project turns out.
So would you say this number and the other numbers that you're going to share with us are conservative estimates?
Yeah, I think they're conservative.
Okay. Let's move on to your next example, which is the next adjacent property that you analyzed.
1429 Doral.
So referring back to the photos that Ms. Driscoll entered earlier, can we get the slide deck, Nathan, back on the screen? Okay, and go to slide 15. Okay, Mr. Doherty, can you share with us what this is showing on the screen?
So this is the lot that backs up to the property at 1429 Doral. So your backyard is right at the tip of the end of the building.
The end of building, the
Yeah.
second building, building number 2, which is the larger of the 2 buildings. Is that correct?
That's correct. And was that supposed to be a loading dock there? I mean, I was at one of the meetings where they were talking about putting a loading dock there as well. So I don't remember if that's still happening or not, because that's not great.
Yeah, you can see, it's hard
You
to
can see
from-
the road.
Yeah, it's hard to see from the image because
Yeah.
there's so much going on, but yes, you were correct. Does that make this potential valuation even worse, having loading dock in addition to the building?
It does. I mean, if you've got trucks backing up and beeping and the noise from that and dumpsters being dumped and things like that, people don't want to live there.
Can we go to slide 16, please? Okay, and can you describe what this shows?
Shows a beautiful colonial with big tall trees behind it, big trees in the front of Doral,
Okay.
1429.
And slide 17, please. Can you describe what this shows?
The pool at Doral, the backyard. And then you can see the property next door.
And
Behind it.
would the proposed building be at the same level above or below the grading of this backyard?
Well, it's like 4 stories up, right? So
And what does that fence and stone wall show you?
it's pretty close.
Height wise, what does it show you?
It shows you that it's even going to be higher than 4 stories.
So the owners of this property will be looking out, not necessarily directly at the facility at eye level, but it'll actually appear taller
Yeah.
based on what you just said. Is that correct?
Sure. And they will have no privacy.
In front of you have Exhibit C3. So, Nathan, can we get that up on the screen? Thank you. Can you describe for us what this exhibit entails?
So it's similar to Orchard Hill, but it's done for this property, which is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3,100 square foot colonial.
Okay, so this is the current, as of yesterday, correct? June 3rd?
That's correct.
2026 property value analysis for this property.
Yes.
And what is the square footage of the property?
3,142, I think.
Okay. And remind me, what is the square footage of the proposed senior care facility that we had talked about earlier?
It's over 30,000.
Okay.
So you're looking at 10 of these houses.
What did you say? 10?
10.
10 of
Mhm.
these houses.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is a very long exhibit, and well, we're not going to go through it in great detail. But Nathan, if you can scroll to, I think it's page 3. Yes, the map. Okay, so Mr. Doherty, can you share with us what these 3 examples are, and why you selected them as comparables?
So they're all colonials in Rydal or Jenkintown zip code. Rydal and Jenkintown share the same zip code. We as realtors are always very aware that appraisers don't want to go too far unless they can't find something that matches. So that's why I kept them all in that area.
Okay.
And they're all similar size.
So similar square footage, similar style of home,
Mm-hmm.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go to page 19, please? Okay. And Mr. Doherty, what does this show based on the comparables?
So this shows the current market value based on the average price of the others, which I think is more in line with the value. Based on the square footage, you'll see it was at 900,000, but I do think it's more in line in that price.
Okay. And in your expert opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe this current property value to be accurate?
I do.
Okay. Can we go to page 22, please? Okay. Can you share what this analysis is about?
So this was a little harder because I couldn't really find colonials that had something detrimental to them that had sold recently. So I went to a colonial in Huntington Pike and one in Lycoming, which is in 1901 Abington colonial that backed up to commercial. The one on Huntington Pike, I used the busy road as what was detrimental to it.
So your comparables are properties that have something detrimental
Something
in the vicinity of them,
to it.
whether it's a commercial building, a train, a busy road, et cetera.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Can we scroll to the map? I believe it's page 24. That's better. Yeah, I was going to ask if you could see the lower property. Okay, so that's the one you mentioned,
Mhm.
the one on the bottom.
Yes.
Is
So
that the one
Yeah,
near
right near
commercial?
Susquehanna, and the other one is up, on York Road, backs up to York Road.
So you took these two properties with the detrimental, surrounding, I'll call it, and use those as comparables to project what the future property value of this subject property at 1429 Doral Road would be once this institutional facility is built.
Correct.
And that's why these comparables are different than the comparables that you shared for the current property value, which are closer to the subject property and do not have any kind of negative surrounding.
Correct.
Nathan, can we scroll to 38, please? Okay, can you share with me what is on the screen now?
So they have the average value at 527,500. So I think it would be probably in that price range if they had that building right behind it. I mean, that blue sky would be gone and the building would be there.
Okay. And for those of us that can't do math quickly in our heads, what reduction in property value does this represent?
Bear with me for a second.
Okay.
This was almost a 30%, 29%.
Okay. Which is over $200,000. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And in your expert opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe this projected future property value to be accurate?
I do.
Okay. And in your expert opinion, do you believe that the approval and building of this senior care facility will be a detriment to 1429 Doral Road?
I do.
Okay, let's move on to your last example. What is the next adjacent property that you analyzed?
It's 1340 Woodland Road.
Okay. Nathan, can we flip back to Driscoll 6? The slide deck. Slide 24, please. Okay, can you share with us what's on the screen?
The map with 1340 right next to the main entrance to the proposed facility.
Okay, and this is the next subject property that you analyzed. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. Slide 25, please. Can you share what this shows?
The front exterior of
Okay.
1340.
And next slide, please. What does this image show?
It's the side view looking into the lot at the back of the house.
Okay, so when you say side view, do you mean that the backyard doesn't face the property, the side yard would face the property?
The side yards. Well, that's the backyard, but it's looking towards the side.
The side of the backyard, I guess I should say. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you're saying that instead of looking at these green trees and this open space behind the tree line, they will be looking at directly at the side of the senior care facility. Is that correct?
Or a parking lot, I guess, and the cars coming in and out. And they'll also have, I guess, lighting.
Okay. In front of you, C4. Nathan, can we flip to that, please? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Doherty, can you share with us what this exhibit entails?
This will be similar to the other two analysis I did for 1340 Woodland Road.
And which is the current projected property value
Current
today.
Projected property value.
Sorry, as of yesterday, when you did this analysis, June 3rd, 2026.
Correct.
And scroll to page 3, please, Nathan. Yes, the map. I think there's one more on there. Yes, okay. So can you share with us what this map shows in terms of comparables?
Shows the three comparables, the one on Scrope Road, Pheasant, and the one on Leopard.
And why did you select these?
They were all sprawling. One was the sprawling cape that I actually had listed. The other, all of them were sprawling capes, very similar to Woodland, all over 5,000 square feet.
Is 5,000 square feet large for a typical Cape Cod?
It's huge, huge.
What-
And there's a lot of them in the Rydal area.
Okay. And remind me, how does that 5,186 square feet compare to what is proposed for the subject property next door?
6 of them would have to go on that.
So 6 of these
the
Cape Cods
these
would
Cape
fit
Cods.
inside the footprint of this building. Okay. Can we scroll to page 22, please? Okay, can you share with us, actually, hold on, let me go back one second. I'm sorry, page 19, I think it is. Yes, right there. Sorry, I skipped ahead on myself. Can you share with us what this number represents and how you came to this calculation for the current market value?
So it's the average price of the sold properties, 1,145,500, which I think is priced correctly.
Okay. Page 22, please. Okay, and can you share with us what this second half of the analysis shows?
So this is post-construction comparables that I came up with.
Okay, and can you go to slide 24, please? And what does this slide represent, Mr. Doherty?
So there are 2 that I came up with. This was a little harder to find, especially $1 million properties that are in a distressed area.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
So it's hard finding $1 million properties that could be in distressed, have some kind of distress affecting the value. First house was on Lenox Road, which is over in Jenkintown Manor. And I picked that one because it backs up to the pavilion parcel that's adjacent to the Abington Club. And the Abington Club, for years, there's rumors that it's going to be developed, but this one does also have a direct view of the pavilion. So that's why I picked that one.
And that's the lower one on this
The
map?
lower one on the map. And it would definitely be a lot more valuable if it did not back up to that.
Okay, and what about the second comparable?
The other one is a sprawling colonial that's in the middle of a commercial pocket. And it took forever to sell. It was a doctor's office. It had a variance for a doctor's office. And it was similar size. And that was up right near Bethlehem. On Hidden Lane.
So you mentioned it's hard to find $1 million+ properties that back up to some sort of detrimental surrounding. I think the words you used earlier. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, they don't build them next to something that's detrimental. So something has to come in obviously afterwards. And I mean, even though when you looked at the Meadowbrook courts, it was a train, and a train, people can sort of get past trains. Not everybody, but some people can. Commercial's a lot harder, especially 24-hour commercial.
So would you say that a commercial facility is the most detrimental type of property that could be next to a residential property if you're looking strictly at property value analysis?
Yeah, like commercial, medical, whatever. It's, something that there's something going on 24/7.
Institutional would be another example.
Institutional,
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Can we go to slide 38, please? Or page 38, please? Sorry. Okay. Can you share with me what this page represents?
So this would be the value today if the project was there now. This is what I would recommend them putting their house on the market at.
So it went from 1.145 and change down to 842,500.
Yeah, 1.140. Yeah, 1 point. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And about what percentage value drop is that?
About 26%.
Okay. And is that, I'm doing my quick math, about $300,000
Yeah.
in decline in property value? Yes. Okay. In your expert opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe this projected future property value to be accurate?
Well, you can never project the future, but you can project that the percentage of that difference in value will stick,
Okay.
If property values in general collapse, well, then it's going to be less.
You're saying the overall market declines. That
overall,
would result in an even steeper decline.
Exactly.
Beyond just the building of this facility next door, correct? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So this is strictly based on the potential building of this property, not
Correct.
taking into account other market factors that may cause a further decline.
Correct.
In your expert opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe that the approval and building of the senior care facility will be a detriment to 1340 Woodland Road?
I do believe that.
Okay, I'd now like to reference our final exhibit, which is CEAS 5. Can we get that up on the screen, please? Can we zoom out just a little bit? That's perfect. Okay. Can you share with us what this exhibit shows?
Well, it shows the difference in value with post construction. And like I've said before, I based it on if it was built now. So it's not a future valuation, it would be now. And the difference in price, the difference in value.
So the three properties in the address column, all the way to the left in green, those are the three properties you just showed us, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then next to that in black is the current value. This is just a summary of those current values that you projected based on the 40-page analysis for each current property value. Is that correct? Okay. And then the orange post-construction value is the reduction and the totals that you showed us based on the comparables. And you gave us the rationale as to why those comparables were used. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then lastly, the column in red. Can you share with us what that shows?
Shows the percentage and the difference, the amount of money that those homeowners could see wiped away from their value.
So if you take the average of those three numbers, approximately what percentage is that?
I mean, 20%, 20 to 25%.
And what about other properties in the immediately adjacent to this subject property? So earlier, John had shared, all the different photos of every surrounding property on the site. And I realized you didn't do a deep dive analysis on each of those properties, but based on what you've showed us here and your knowledge and expertise in the market, would you say that a similar decrease in property value is expected for those other immediately adjacent properties?
I think the ones that immediately are adjacent to it, yes. Like on Durrell, the ones across the street, not as affected, but not as.
So are you saying that the proximity to the site, the subject site, has a larger impact than as you move, slowly further and further away?
Yeah, yeah. And then there's also a trickle down effect too, because when properties sell and the value drops and somebody else wants to list their house 2 blocks away in the neighborhood and they're looking at the value of that. And then if an appraiser comes in and he doesn't know the area and he's just looking on the MLS and he pulls the recent sale that backed up to the property, he'll say, well, your house isn't worth this because look what this house sold for.
So I just want to make sure I'm following you. You're saying that if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these immediately adjacent properties sell at the reduced rates that you're projecting here, the other properties that may be a little bit further away but within the same neighborhood, when they go to sell, those comparables will be used, mixed in with other comparables, and that will have a negative impact on general property values in the Rydal area.
Correct.
What property value impact do you anticipate will occur should single-family homes be built at this subject site rather than an institutional facility?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What property value change, whether positive or negative, will occur, in his professional opinion, should single-family homes be built at this subject property instead of an institutional facility?
The objection is sustained. It is irrelevant.
Okay. Is the Rydal zoning district is the Rydal Meadowbrook R1 zoning district the largest tax base in Abington Township?
From my knowledge, it is, but I'm not an expert.
And in your real estate expertise, when property values suffer a decrease, is a property owner able to request a reassessment of their property taxes?
Absolutely.
Okay, and isn't it true that the owner of the 1209 Rydal Road property actually requested and received a reduction in their property taxes?
Sustain. Move on, please.
What impact do you believe the approval of this institutional facility may have on the overall tax base for Abington Township?
I don't think it'll be good. I think it'll be, detrimental. I mean, if you start losing value in the larger houses and then people start moving away that have big incomes because of something like that, and then you lose that 1%, it's not gonna be good all around.
Is that opinion being offered to a degree of certainty as an expert in real estate?
No,
or
it's
you
my,
just feel-
yeah.
Okay. I think he's not qualified to talk about this, so please move on.
In your opinion as a licensed realtor, do you believe the proposed development is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the R1 zoning district? You shared your own sort of example of what that means to you earlier, but I'm curious if you believe that this proposed development aligns with that.
I do not believe it aligns with that.
Okay. And my last question for you as we wrap up, can you share with me just your general closing thoughts on this conditional use application?
I just think it's detrimental for the area. It's the premier spot in Abington Township. It's the reason I moved here. I grew up behind the hospital. I lived in Mount Airy for a number of years. My partner and I decided to have a family. We wanted to send them to a good school. We knew Rydal Elementary was a great school, and I knew I wanted to live in that neighborhood because of the way it is.
Testifying as an expert.
Yep.
I think he's providing his personal opinion.
Just share as
It's sustained.
a realtor,
As a realtor,
not as a property owner.
as a realtor, it's a hard sell for properties that surround that and driving past it when you're taking people on tours.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I don't have any further questions for you.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Docker?
I do. Mr. Docker, you indicated that you're a party to this application. Is that correct?
No, I guess I must have misspoke.
You're not. Okay.
No,
And you're opposed to the application, though?
I am.
Okay. I want to kind of understand your methodology in coming to these values. So first off, you only conducted these analysis for the 3 properties you spoke about. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then for your, I guess your current values, you looked at what I would call comparable sales and came to an opinion.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's a standard way as a realtor and even as an appraiser would. That's how they would value current values. It's accepted methodology. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, with respect to your post-construction values, is there a specific date you had in mind for what that valuation would be as of?
I based it on if the property was built now, if it was there.
Okay, so it doesn't matter whether your opinion doesn't change whether it was built in 6 months or 6 years.
Well, my opinion would change in price based on market conditions,
Okay,
the economy.
so
Um,
when you said post-construction value, what date is that as of?
well, that would be technically would be as of now.
If it was existing there?
If it was existing there today.
Okay, okay. So then as part of your post-construction value, you went and identified properties that you believed had a detriment and
Mhm.
used those as as a comparable
Mhm.
property. Is that correct?
It's correct.
Okay. And in certain instances, those detriments, one was facing the railroad tracks.
Mm.
Others were backing up to commercial or included in commercial pockets, I think you said.
Correct.
And another was it was near a busy road.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you use the kind of a present valuation of those comparable properties
Correct.
to get to a valuation for the post-construction.
Correct.
Is that methodology that you use by picking out what you believe to be detriment, is that an accepted methodology for future valuation?
Well, you have to, yes. I mean, you have to look at a lot of different factors, but that's probably the biggest factor that you have to look at.
Okay, I guess let me ask it this way. Is there a course in valuation that you take or a book that you read that says you need to look at what the future valuation of a property is?
Objection. He did not say he's an appraiser, a certified appraiser, or anything of that nature. He merely is sharing his methodology as to how he got to this answer.
Overruled. He can answer the question.
So,
There's not.
So this methodology is something you kind of created as what you thought
Correct.
was the most accurate future valuation.
Correct.
And did you indicate as part of coming to this valuation or these valuations, you didn't inspect the actual properties?
I did not.
I noticed that none of the detriments or detrimental properties that you identified, you didn't identify a detriment that was near a senior living facility. Is that correct?
Yeah, there were none available.
Okay.
At the
So
time.
you didn't conduct an analysis of property values of properties near senior living facilities?
I did not.
Okay. And to the same end, you didn't look at what a value was on a property that was near a senior living facility before it got there and then after it got there?
Well, it's funny you say that. There's a house that I didn't talk about.
Okay.
that-
Well, is there any in your report that
No.
are, okay. And you didn't provide any opinion as to compliance with the zoning ordinance, is that correct?
I did not.
And you didn't provide any opinion as to the operations or how the facility is going to operate?
Well, the only opinion I had was, would it be a 24-hour facility?
You weren't providing any legal opinions or expert
No.
opinions on that?
No.
Okay. And you don't have familiarity with marketing senior living facilities for sale or purchase, do you?
I do not.
And you don't develop or manage senior living facilities.
I do not.
And as part of your expert testimony, other than the renderings, you didn't review any of the land develop or the conditional use plans or other testimony that was presented?
I looked at your applications and all that, but I didn't,
Your opinion as to the detrimental aspect or effect on these properties is based on the fact that there would be a senior living facility located on the property.
yeah, some sort of institutional.
It doesn't
facility.
matter what kind, just the fact that it's a senior living facility.
Whatever kind of facility it is, it doesn't, it'll be detrimental to the
Right.
houses.
Any senior living facility would be detrimental to the property value. Is that what your opinion is?
Any facility.
Yeah.
I mean.
Any institutional uses?
Any institutional.
Anything that's not single family residential?
Correct.
Okay. And you recognize that these uses are permitted by conditional use?
I've understood that was the.
And did you make any other assumptions when you came to your post-construction valuation of these properties?
I don't think I made any assumptions.
Okay.
I mean, other than reviewing these photos and the maps and all that.
And you recognize that buyers consider numerous factors when they purchase a home?
Correct.
Those could be the school district that the property is
Correct.
in, the interest rates that are in effect
Correct.
at the time, overall market conditions. I think you spoke
Correct.
a little bit about the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't take those into effect or into account when coming to your post-construction valuation. Is that correct?
My post-construction valuation was based on the recent sales in the township for comparable properties.
Okay.
It's just based on value.
And is it then your position that the detriments or the detrimental conditions, you believe those are equivalent to having a senior living facility? You could pick that property up and put the senior living facility next to it and have the same effect?
Can you rephrase that?
The
Like
detrimental properties you
Yeah.
selected, whatever
Oh.
they are. Is it your position that you could, if you picked up the senior living facility and put it in place of that detrimental?
it is.
You would have the same impact?
Mm-hmm.
And you indicated that your opinion is based on the fact that having any type of non-single family residential use would be detrimental to the value of these properties. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And are you familiar with whether senior living facilities are built in neighborhoods?
I am not.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have for Mr. Doherty.
Mr. Heleniak, do you have any questions?
Mr. Clark, I don't have a question, but I would want to correct something that was stated on the record, that Mr. Doherty was recognized as a party and submitted the requisite form at the outset of these hearings back in 2023. So he is a party to these proceedings.
Oh, I am. I don't. That was a while ago.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Heleniak?
That is it. Thank you.
Mr. McHugh, based on that clarification, do you have any additional questions of Mr. Doherty?
I don't.
Okay. Is there anyone present who has party status who has a question of Mr. Doherty? If you do, please come. We'll do the same thing. We'll come over here. If we can get the microphone from Ms. Cease.
Yep. Thank you.
Colleen Mealy, Colleen, Colleen, Mealy, Mele. I do have party status, 1421 Orchard Hill Lane. Can you bring up the slide that has the facility in black and white and has the neighborhood around it? My question is based on your expert. I think it's the black and white. Bottom left. Slide one. Anyone with any one of the neighborhoods. No, the black and white one that has just the picture. That one's fine. Okay, so it might not work with this picture, but how far out? So you had mentioned that the most detriment would be to adjoining properties, but that it would have an impact on other properties.
I thought that had more of the whole entire neighborhood. How far concentrically would you say that a facility like this would affect property values? Do you need to see like a schematic of the neighborhood to say, well, it would be in this neighborhood, or is there like a mileage or if you get this far away?
So you're on Orchard Hill. Which lot are you on Orchard Hill, which is up at the top?
Yes. I'm not asking about my property
Yeah.
specifically. I'm asking how far out will that detriment, even if my property is not affected as much as other people's, how far out into the neighborhood could that extend?
I think you could look at the surrounding properties and the properties across the street from, I think all of Orchard Hill would be affected. I think most of Woodland, close to the entrance up the hill, all of Doral will be affected. And then Cloverly, I think it's the Castle House and some other, the new house that they built on Cloverly. I think they'll all be affected.
And then beyond that, is there a
Well,
scope
beyond
that
that,
you'd feel comfortable speaking to?
there's a trickle down effect that I talked about, which when those values go down, and if those houses sell and the values are down, and then you go to sell your house, they'll use those resales as valuation for your house as well.
So it could extend to, say, Bacchius and the Target neighborhood and beyond.
Not necessarily that far.
Okay.
More because they're not, you need to use like properties when you're valuing other properties. Appraisers look at, similar size, similar bedrooms, similar bathrooms, and they make adjustments if you don't have them. So
Gotcha.
they also look at similar neighborhoods. Unless they can't find something in your neighborhood, then they'll go out after that.
Gotcha.
And it's a time period too. They like to keep it under 6 months.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Doherty, first, are all of the answers that you've given to a reasonable degree of professional certainty as a realtor?
Yes.
And in your experience over the past 20 years as a realtor, have you had the opportunity to sell properties or try to sell properties that are adjacent to institutions or non-residential properties?
God, you're testing my memory here. I saw a lot of properties. I don't think institutional, but commercial, yes.
Okay.
Um,
So using that experience, in your experience as a realtor, is it easier, harder, or makes no difference when you're trying to sell a residential property that's next to a commercial institution or institutional property?
well, it's harder. And the way to do it is you lower the price, so you have somebody that wants a certain type of property and will forgive what is detrimental because they can get in a property for a certain value that they wouldn't be able to get into normally.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Please come forward. Yeah, if you can come around, please. You can
take the mic with you.
Okay. Hi, my name's Bruce Cox, 1544 Cleverly Lane. I think I do have COX. I just want a clarification. You were talking about the square footage footprint of the proposed building was approximately 30,000 square feet. That's the footprint.
The footprint, yeah.
Times 4.
Mhm.
That's 120,000 square feet. So let's compare apples to apples here. So 5,000 square properties you were talking about there, that's 24 times the size, not 5 times.
Mhm.
We were talking footprint versus,
Yeah.
okay, just want to clarify that.
Mr. Cox, is there a question for this witness or?
No,
you're
I just
making a
wanted to
statement? All
clarify
right,
that.
that will be stricken then. Do you have a question for this witness?
Well, that should be clarified, I think.
Do you have a question for this witness?
Ask it as a
Ask the
question.
question.
Am I correct?
And please stop yelling out from the
Yeah,
audience.
I'm sorry. Am I correct in,
Yes, you are correct when you say that the footprint is 30,000 square feet for the two buildings.
and the square footage of
the
that
property
building will be
four
A hun-
times. Yeah. 120.
120,000
Mhm.
square feet?
Yeah.
Okay, because we were comparing the sizes of these properties you were talking about
Mhm.
to the footprint, not to the size
Size
of
of the building.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who is present who has party status who wishes to ask this witness questions? Ms. Cease, do you have any redirect? Gonna have to retrieve that microphone.
Sorry. Thank you.
Just two questions. Mr. McHugh had asked you earlier whether or not you used any comparables that are adjacent or in the area vicinity of a senior living facility, and you said no. Is that correct?
I did not use it in the analysis that we showed on the screen.
Okay, and is that because there's no recent comparable in the last
Well,
few
there was-
years?
There was a property on the corner of Sewell and Susquehanna, a big estate on 5 acres, or no, 2 acres, that sold in 2006 for 1.3 million. And then in 2012, now market conditions were different. But Rydal Park had opened up the Susquehanna Road entrance to Woodside and Park. Is it Parkside, the other building there? And really took the trees down so you could see the buildings. And it took them a very long time to sell it, and it finally sold for 615,000.
And what percentage reduction in value is that?
It's over 50%. It's, but market conditions were also bad at the time. So that wasn't completely it, but the fact that it's sweeping lawn now overlooked that new building that was built in 2008 at Rydal Park, that definitely, I think, affected the value of that house.
So you didn't use that example because of the fact that it was in
It was so long ago,
Yes.
and
So it wouldn't make sense to use such a long ago
Yeah.
comparable, but it is a good example to show as
Yeah.
what the impact is. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. McHugh, any recross?
I have nothing further.
Ms. Cease, does anyone, Mr. Heleniak?
Nothing from the township.
Mr. Doherty, you can have a seat. Ms. Cease, do you have another witness?
I do not, but Ms. Weilheimer does.
Okay. It's 9:00. About how long do we think this witness will take?
I would anticipate that the direct testimony will probably be 20 plus minutes. And the witness is available at the next listing if you're available the 30th, right? But we'll defer to you. We can start now. We can try to finish now. I don't anticipate we're going to finish with cross-examination within 30 minutes, but I will defer to the hearing officer.
Mr. McHugh, we will not start your cross at 9:25 or 9:30. Do you have any objection to the direct being taken tonight and then the cross being at the next hearing?
That's totally acceptable.
Okay.
I'll just note though, as far as we're proceeding, Ms. Cease and I did come to a stipulation regarding certain photographs. And I presented a copy of that to you, Mr.
And I-
Carter.
and I
Maybe
do
just
have
have that
that.
marked
Yep.
as Cease Exhibit 6.
Fine. Ms. Wellheimer, you can call your witness.
Gail Weilheimer, 1282 Rydal Road, party status. I call Colleen Mealy. Okay. person. Ms. Mealy, can you please state your address?
I think it has to be like
So if you
straight.
turn it in front of you.
Yes.
Sure. I feel like it's off.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't hear anyone. Was it on?
Looks like it's not. Oh, now it's green. Oh, now it's red. It looks like it has no battery. There's no.
Okay.
It's all right. She can use that one.
1421 Orchard Hill Lane.
And you and your husband, Mark, have party status in this matter. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If we can just show, because there seemed to be some confusion during the first witness regarding the first photograph, if we can have Driscoll 6 play, I think it's the, sure, we'll wait until the battery is taken care of. Yeah. It's okay. Whenever you're ready. All right. And if we can go to, nope, slide, I believe it's 3 or 4, 4. Slide 4. Perfect. Okay. So you just stated your address is, oh, now it went away again. There we go. Is 1421 Orchard Hill Lane. What is this a picture of?
That is my home.
Okay. So when there was a question from the photographer, which property this is this in fact a picture of 1421 Orchard Hill Lane?
It is, in fact.
Okay. And when you walk out of your front door there, what do you see when you're looking at the proposed property? What part of that proposed property would you see?
One of the other slides was a picture from my backyard. So I would likely see, from standing here, obviously my house would be in the way. If I went around the back, I would be able to see all of the property from my backyard.
There were pictures shown, and we're just, so we can level set with these pictures, then we'll move on to your actual testimony. From the pictures shown, your current view is foliage when you look at 1209 Rydal Road and the Manor House. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If this proposed property was built, what would you see?
I would see 4 stories of the facility. I would see the parking lots, pretty much everything from my vantage point high up on this hill.
How long have you lived in this community?
Over 20 years.
And when you moved into the community, is the only institutional buildings in the community Penn State Abington?
Correct.
And presently, as you're still living in the community today, is that the only present institutional building?
Correct.
Let's go to why we called you for your testimony today. As someone who is particularly interested and has party status, have you been attending the hearings throughout these proceedings?
I have.
And did you attend the hearings at which David Babbitt testified for the applicant?
I did.
When you were present at those hearings, did you hear Mr. Babbitt's testimony regarding other properties in Abington in which a residential community with single-family homes is adjacent to institutional uses?
I did.
Ms. Mealy, do you have something written in front of you?
I-
Are you reading from something?
She is not, but that's an exhibit that we're going to hand to everybody when we get to it.
Okay.
Everyone will have a
Thank you.
copy of exactly what she's going to reference.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Babbitt referenced a number of properties in his testimony as examples of single-family homes that are adjacent to institutional properties or community service properties. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Babbitt testified, and I'm talking specifically on page 307 of his direct testimony, he said these types of institutional uses surrounded by single-family homes is typical and not inappropriate. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay. And then Mr. Babbitt provided a list of properties in which he attempted to show institutional use or community service immediately adjacent to single-family residential communities. Do you remember that testimony?
I do.
When he presented that testimony, did you take notes on all of the properties he referenced? Did you take a note of, did you list the properties?
Not at the time, but when I went home, I did, because in recalling his testimony, I recognized some of the properties.
Okay. And then subsequent to his testimony, did you get a copy of the properties he referenced in the transcript from his testimony?
I do, as Exhibit 14.
Okay. And then specifically, did you investigate? Okay. So as Mr. Babbitt was testifying, there was an intimation that the institutional properties or community service properties were inserted after the residential community was built. Do you recall that?
Correct. Yes.
Did you do an investigation to determine, as it relates to each of the properties Mr. Babbitt referenced, when the institutional or community service property was in fact constructed in comparison to the surrounding residential community?
I did.
Okay. So how did you conduct this investigation? What did you do?
So I took,
Just tell me what method, what did you look at first, without telling me what else you did, but what did you look at?
I went to the Montgomery County property records.
Okay. And before you go further, and I will defer to the hearing officer, do you want me to title this Mealy 1 or Weilheimer 1 based on who's presenting or who's testifying?
Who's presenting?
Okay. Then we'll call this Weilheimer 1.
Thank you.
I believe you brought your own copy.
I did.
We're looking at the
Okay.
same things. I'm going to hand you
Thank you. Yep.
same. And is what I just handed you a copy of what you brought with you?
Yes, absolutely.
And this
Yes, sorry.
This is a document you personally prepared after reviewing, looking at each of the sites Mr. Babbitt referenced and looking at the Montgomery County property records. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, before I go into your findings, did you examine for each of the institutions or community service properties what year that was built?
I did.
And then did you look at the surrounding residential homes and determine what year those were built?
I did.
When you did that, did you create a map to document when each one was built?
I did.
Okay, and comparing it to the institutional community service property?
Correct.
Okay. Is this the maps that you prepared for each of the property referenced on Weilheimer 1?
It is.
So I'm going to mark this as Weilheimer 2.
It says Mealy too, so you might want to cross that out.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Let me get the others. Give you a second one. Or did you have the only one?
This is my original.
That's your original. Do we have a copy? Here's the copy. There we go. Nice enough. Go.
Thank you.
So Weilheimer 2, which I just handed you, is that the documentation that supports the summary that you prepared as Weilheimer 1?
It is.
Okay. So we're going to go through each of the properties that Mr. Babbitt referenced and go through when the institution was created and when the majority of the adjacent homes were created. So if we go to number 1 on Weilheimer 1, Mr. Babbitt referenced Penn State Abington. When was Penn State Abington built?
1915.
Right. On how many acres originally?
45.
And it looks like you provide in this summary some background information on the creation of Penn State Abington. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, and is the information you provide in this document accurate based on your investigation?
It is. It's sourced.
Okay. And you have each of the sources that you look at.
Correct.
And those are each referenced on the document that you created.
Correct.
Okay. When you looked into the surrounding homes, when were the majority of the surrounding homes built?
The majority were built, some were built in the 1900s to 1920s, but many were built in the 1940s and 50s.
Okay. And that was, as you indicate, majority of them 25 to 35 years after Sutherland Hall at Penn State was erected.
Correct.
Okay. Next property that was referenced by Mr. Babbitt was Meadowbrook School. When was Meadowbrook School built?
Meadowbrook School was built in 1919. And that information is based on the fact that the school utilized existing residential estate buildings to start the school. So if you search for the Meadowbrook School, they will say it started in 1919 on buildings that were existing at that time.
Okay. And so the school has been in operation since 1919,
Correct.
and you reference here it started as Independent Country Day School.
Correct.
Okay. And it's now called Meadowbrook School, but we're talking about the same location.
Correct.
Okay. And when Mr. Babbitt referenced it as Meadowbrook School, we're talking about the same property that you're referencing here as number 2. Is that correct?
Correct.
When were the majority of the surrounding homes built?
In the 1950s.
Okay. And that was, you indicate 40 years after Meadowbrook School was started?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Babbitt also referenced the Meadowbrook Farms. Okay. When was Meadowbrook Farms originally built?
Meadowbrook Farm was built in, I believe, 1936, and Mrs. Stackhouse referenced the building in her testimony as well.
Okay. You have it originally noted as did Mrs. Stackhouse, as the Coatswold Manor House, Cotswold.
Correct.
All right. And when were the majority of the surrounding homes built?
They were built in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s for the most part.
And again, on the corresponding map that you created, which is Weilheimer 2, you indicate, based on your search of the property records, the date in which each of the surrounding homes that you investigated was built. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you do that on each of the maps that you
Correct. And if I could just go back 1 second to the Meadowbrook school map, that's a very good example, because what I did was I made sure to check the build date of every property that was adjacent or touching the exhibit property. And then I tried to take a synopsis of little neighborhoods that looked similar to kind of get the dates of those homes. So for example, in the Meadowbrook School, you'll see that I did the neighborhoods beyond the ones that touched it, and found out I did a sampling there of how many, and then determined that neighborhood was built in the 50s.
Mr. Babbitt referenced Holy Redeemer Hospital. And when was Holy Redeemer Hospital built, at least initially?
Holy Redeemer Hospital was built in 1959.
Okay, it looks like you did some additional investigation regarding what was on the property prior to the hospital. Can you talk about that, please?
Correct. Yes. The Huntington Valley, the property that Holy Redeemer sits on was actually acquired in 1939 by the Sisters of the Redeemer. So they originally purchased 45 acres in 1934. And they built the St. Joseph Manor, which is number 5 in the next list of his, to care for the elderly. And so 2 years after that, they decided to buy more property. And so they bought a 115-acre plot, and 115 acres. Correct. And part of the 150 acres is what ended up being turned into Holy Redeemer Hospital.
And Holy Redeemer Hospital, you indicated, was built in 1959.
Correct.
When were the majority of the surrounding homes built in this area?
They were built in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 80s, and the 2000s. And there's also 2 apartment complexes that are adjacent directly to the hospital, and they were built both in 1968.
Okay. Mr. Babbitt referenced St. Joseph's Manor, and that's number 5 on your list. When was St. Joseph's Manor built?
1934.
And when were the majority of the surrounding homes built?
In the 50s, 80s, and 2000s.
And we're just finishing the first page of your review here. Were any of the institutions that you investigated that Mr. Babbitt referenced on page 1 of Weilheimer 1, were any of those institutions just inserted in the center of a residential community?
No.
Let's go to page 2. Number 6 on page 2, the Rydal Elementary School complex, which consists of Rydal East and Rydal West. When were each of those built?
East was built in 1959 and West was built in 1979 on 19 acres. The first parcel was bought to build the school in 59, and then they added the complex for West afterwards.
Okay. So when were the adjacent homes built?
Some were built in the 1950s and were pre-existing the complex, others in the 60s and also the late 90s.
Okay. And when you say the ones that were built in the 50s, for those of us that know Rydal Elementary, when you are at Rydal East, the bigger school, which is on Huntington Pike, there are no homes immediately adjacent to it. There's Huntington Pike, and then there's homes across the street. And then there is a neighborhood. Well, I'm asking the question. So if you can just let me finish, then if you want to object, you can. And then there's a community,
It's
if you,
objection and it's overruled. You're right. Let her finish the question.
and then there's a community when you are facing Rydal East to the left-hand side. What homes are you referencing when you're talking about the homes that were built in the 50s?
So the ones directly across from Rydal East, I found 5 properties. Every single property was 1955. To the left of Rydal East is some in 1952, some in 1960. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so when I'm looking at, and I'm on page 7 of your maps
Mhm.
of Rydal East, if we're looking at that, the road immediately in front of that is Huntington Pike. So
Yes.
it's across the street from Huntington Pike are the 1955 ones?
That's
Is that
correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
And the roads to, looking at your map to the right of Rydal East, that's the neighborhood, sort of across the fields next to Rydal East. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when we're looking at Rydal West, would that be Meeting House Road that we're looking at?
Correct.
And the properties that you're referencing there from 1965?
There was no definitive pattern with that. We have 1965, 1968. There's a 1910 in there, vacant land in there. That was more of a hodgepodge of dates with not a specific neighborhood in mind. So they do vary on that street.
Okay. And then the neighborhood to the left of the Rydal East, Rydal West community was the one built in the 90s.
Very consistent. 1998, 1999, 1997, 2000.
Okay. Just wanted to have a frame of reference of what we're talking about.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Babbitt referenced St. Hilary of Poitiers.
Correct.
Okay. That's number 7 on your list. When was that property built?
It was built in 1962 on 16 acres of land that was originally a dairy farm acquired by Cardinal O'Hara in 1958.
So, and when were the majority of the adjacent properties built?
There were some built in the 50s that predated St. Hilary's, and then there were others that were built in the 70s and the 90s.
Number 8, Redeemer Sister Chapel that was referenced by Mr. Babbitt. When was that built?
Redeemer's Sister Chapel was in 1934. That was part of the original St. Joseph's Sisters 45 acres.
And when were the majority of the homes built in that area?
Much like Holy Redeemer, the 50s, the 80s, and the 2000s.
Number 9, Brookside Roslyn Nursing Rehab Center was referenced by Mr. Babbitt. When was that built?
That was built in 1960.
Okay. And what about the majority of the surrounding homes?
So the majority of the homes were built in the 1940s and the 50s. And this is an example of the neighborhood predating the existing nursing facility.
Okay.
Which,
And
oh,
go ahead.
which I would note, I am not familiar with this area, so I did Google it and check out a picture, and it is a single story brick structure surrounded by many, many trees.
And number 10, Mr. Babbitt finally referenced Phoebe Wincoat. And when was that property built?
Phoebe Wincoat was built in 1890. It was originally a mansion and estate for William H. Berger, which was named Fairview. Then he donated the property, and it became a home for the aged named after him. Then it became the Reformed Home for the Aged. Modern wings were added in 51 and 62. In 68, the mansion was demolished. They did a third addition, And then in 1970, the name was changed to Wyncote Church Home and then Phoebe Wyncote. And it is now, in April of 2025, Phoebe Wyncote was sold to a private nursing facility and became Wyncote Care Center. And source is the Cheltenham Township Historical Commission.
Okay, and when were the majority of the homes built in this area?
They were all actually built mostly after the manse in the 1800s and in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And also, there's also development built in the 1950s there.
Okay, I believe you already addressed this, but I just want to be clear. Out of all of the properties that you investigated that were referenced by Mr. Babbitt, your evidence shows that only one one was developed after the existing homes. Is that correct? And that would be Brookside.
Correct.
Okay. And you started to address this, but what, if anything, from your investigation did you notice when investigating the Brookside Nursing and Rehab Center regarding as its institutional, how it looks as an institution?
I just noticed that the facility was single story and it was brick, and Google Maps, when you do the 360 view of showing the street that it's on, it had trees around it. So, but that was all the information I found.
And from your investigation, did it seem to, well, I'll withdraw that because you just did a Google search of it.
Yeah.
So from the, when Mr. Babbitt testified in his specific testimony, let me give one more second to get that. When he was intimating that it's common to have these types of institutional and community service properties inserted in a residential community. And he referenced all of these properties. Did your investigation show that these institutional properties that he referenced were inserted in a residential community?
I don't think she's qualified as an expert. She's provided a factual basis. She's commenting on the opinion that Mr. Babbitt provided and rebutting that. From an opinion perspective, I think that's not permissible.
Well,
I'm going to overrule the objection and allow her to answer.
Yeah, so when listening to his testimony, I knew some of the properties, so especially the Penn State property, because I live in this neighborhood. So when he said it's common and appropriate to have smaller institutional uses located within residential neighborhoods and adjacent to it, as long as those institutional uses are compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods, as the proposed 1209 Rydal Road development is, I felt that that was disingenuous in making it sound like those institutions were put into those neighborhoods, when in reality, the neighborhoods were built around the institutions, with the exception of Brookside. And one could argue Rydal Elementary, maybe, but there are enough homes that were in the 90s to probably be able to dispute that fully.
Okay. I have no further questions of Mrs. Mealy. To let Mrs. Mealy be able to put this to rest, I would ask if it's possible for us to conclude her testimony tonight with cross-examination, so she doesn't have to think we have 10 minutes. It's possible.
No. Because we don't know how long Mr. McHugh is going to go. We don't know who long else going to ask question. We have township staff who has been here since 6 o'clock. We've said we don't go past 9:30.
So the next meeting is the 30th, and I am flying international, so there is a chance that if my plane is delayed, or I am stuck.
Then we can always push your cross-examination to
Okay.
a later date.
All right. We would move to admit all of the exhibits from tonight, especially and including Weilheimer 1 and 2.
Okay, we're concluded for this evening.
Sorry.
Yes,
Can we just also include that there are 17 attendees on Zoom tonight?
okay. It'll be noted. We're going to right.
Oh. Mr. Clark, and there are approximately at this point at the end of the night, 50 people in the room.
Okay. And we're going to call an audible, and we're going to move to the township building for the next hearing because we don't think it's necessary. And I'm very uncomfortable up here. These chairs are horrible. The next hearing will be June 30th, which is a Tuesday at 6:30 PM at 1176 Old York Road in Abington, which is the Township Building. It will be held in the Commissioners' Meeting Room on the second floor. There will be no advertisement of this upcoming hearing, although it will be posted on the Township website and I assume on any other social media that we have. So we are concluded for this evening, and we will reconvene at June 30th, the date and the time and location I just mentioned. Thank you.